Welcome to Elma Wine and Liquor. My name is Tim. For those of you that haven't seen me in a while, you may remember me from 1 Minute of Wine, which I did pretty consistently for a couple years. I am back now with a little bit of a longer format videos where we're going to go through a bunch of wines, talk a little bit more about each wine in depth, not only what they taste like, but also kind of some background on the grapes or the regions or the brands or all those different things. And today I'm joined by Nick from Opici Family Distributing, who brought these delicious wines for us to taste through. So thanks for being here, Nick.
Of course, Tim, thanks for having me, and it's great to be here. We're trying through 5 different wines. We have 4 different growing regions. 5 if you count Italy. We're kind of delving into 2 different separate regions, starting off with the Caparzo Rosso di Montalcino, which we're in Tuscany to start off, so it's going to be a really fun one to try. Getting into it to start off, Rosso di Montalcino is the same growing region that you have Brunello that is grown. So Brunello is they call it the king of the Tuscans. Sangiovese is the grape that we're getting into here, and Rosso di Montalcino is a very nice value if you're looking for almost like a Brunello Junior, the baby Brunello. So we're starting off, you can see right away that it's almost got this really cool, like dark reddish kind of hue to it. You smell it. What do you smell in there?
It's a nice cherry. A little bit of kind of a tobacco-y, earthy note as well in there.
And that's what they're known for. They're really known for having that kind of, dark hue. It's not going to be as bold as Brunello, because Brunello usually has about 4 years of aging requirement in the barrel and bottling. This is no aging requirements at all. So, usually they give it about a year, but not according to law.
Yeah, it's very light-bodied, very kind of easy drinking for an Italian. There is some nice acidity there, a little bit of grippy tannins, but you could enjoy this with or without food. A lot of the Italians tend to make their wines to be drunk with food because that kind of balance of acidity and tannin with washing it down with food is what they're known for. But this one's a really nice, light-bodied, easy drinking Caparzo.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about food, you can always go, what grows together goes together too. So you're looking at, your pasta's definitely pizza. That's all fine, but you can go into a little bit deeper with some different roasts and that kind of thing too.
Awesome. And the Montalcino area is not typically known for the Sangiovese grape, right? You wouldn't normally see those in, usually I associate those with Chiantis
and that kind of thing too.
Yep.
When you're looking at Tuscany as a whole, usually you see a lot of kind of variation. So most of the time the building block for that is going to be Sangiovese, but then there's all kinds of variations too. This is, when we get into the next wine too, this is going to be a Sangiovese Grosso, which is a different style of Sangiovese from the same parent. But this Rosso di Montalcino, it just, has a certain style that you really kind of taste in there when you're getting that too.
Awesome. All right, well, you mentioned the next one, and I will let you say this one because
it is a tongue twister.
It rolls off the tongue much better than mine.
This is one of my favorite wines that I bring around with me. This is the Carpenetto Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, and it's a Reserva from 2018. So right off the bat, we're starting with the 2020 Caparzo. We're going to 2018 Carpenetto. The main difference is the age. This has about, we're about 5 years plus on age with this too, but they do give it about 2 years in the barrel beforehand, go with extra time in the bottle too before release. So you're getting, a really nice wine where you could decant this for a little while beforehand too. This has been open since about 10 o'clock this morning. We're at about 4 o'clock here, so really nice time to kind of let it breathe and let all those flavors develop a little bit. As far as the blend goes, we're at 90% Sangiovese Grosso and 10% Canaiolo. So pretty typical as far as Montepulciano goes. This is noble wine from Montepulciano compared to Montepulciano from Abruzzo, which a lot of people are familiar with too, as one of those kind of table wines. This one has a little bit more, like I said, time in the bottle and time on the reserve in the barrel beforehand too. So you'll see a price tag kind of variation too. But this, as you can, smell right away, this has a lot more going on too.
So you mentioned the 2 years in oak barrels.
Yes.
And I definitely get that right on the nose. You can kind of smell that mustiness, that earth, wood, right on the nose. And it comes across on the palate as well, but it blends really nicely with some bright red fruit, some cherry, a little bit of raspberry. You get like almost a hint of smoke as well in there, with some earthy undertones. And again, I said with the previous one, that nice acidity that carries right through the wine. This one's a little bit more acidic, very well balanced. Not knock your socks off or anything. Just integrates well with the fruit, leaves your mouth feeling nice and refreshed, but also wanting some more of that delicious wine.
Exactly, and you notice probably from the first one to the second one the age difference too. You really get the oakiness, like you said, in that Carpenetto. That's an extra 2 years usually they're getting, so you definitely taste those secondary and tertiary flavors to it too.
What we got next, Nick?
This is the Luigi Bosca Malbec. We're coming from Argentina. When you're thinking about Malbec, usually Argentina is the first place, even though the grape originated in France. French wine growers brought it to Argentina, and they've been doing very well ever since. Mendoza is where this is from in particular in Argentina, and what you really expect from Mendoza, Argentina is a lot of fruit forward kind of notes from it. Take a sniff and you get a lot of that kind of like blackberry, blueberry, those kind of flavors right off the bat, and it's dark. I mean, when you're looking at it, it's almost purple kind of in color.
Very, very dark, very rich looking, and a lot of that dark fruit, like you mentioned, blackberry and plum on the nose. But I do smell a little bit of oak or some kind of earthy tones as well.
Definitely, I get that too.
And you mentioned the Malbec originally from France. If you're somebody that really enjoys Malbec from Argentina, and you see a Malbec from France, just proceed with caution. They do tend to be a lot more earthy, a lot more acidic coming from France than they do from Argentina.
It's true.
You get that big, bright, juicy fruit right up front, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Not as prominent as some other Malbecs from Argentina, but still very, very much there. Get a little bit of like eucalyptus menthol kind of thing going on as well, kind of underneath, and a nice earthy kind of consistency throughout.
All across the board, I kind of get that too. When you taste it, you've got these different layers you're kind of working through too, and fruit's right up front for sure. And then like you said, menthol, I get that a lot of that too, the eucalyptus kind of flavor to it. But you work through, and there is a little bit of that oak, and just really overall really nice. And first of all, easy drinking. You could definitely chill this down a little bit, and it would be really good. But honestly, how it is delicious too.
Hello. Oh, you're fine.
All right, so we've been to Europe, Italy, and then we've been to South America, down to Argentina, and now we're going to come back a little bit closer to home with this Central Coast California wine.
All the way to Livermore now in California. This is Wentys, brand new red blend. This is from the Mount Diablo. So this is one that they just came out with. We're going to taste 7 different varietals in one blend. Usually a lot of winemakers focus on Cabernet. This does as well. It's got about 21% Cabernet. I'm gonna have to look out my list here. So 23% Cabernet, 19% Petit Verdot, 16% Merlot, 11% Barbera, 11% Tempranillo, 11% Cabernet Franc, and 9% Malbec. So we're going all over the board here.
Same.
The kitchen sink.
Big group of wines.
It is, and not all really American varietals. We like to adopt from other countries, but this is interesting with Tempranillo, Barbera, grapes that come from all over the place too.
Which is fun too. First of all, Wenty's been around for quite a bit. They're a great, well-established winery in California. I know I've had their Chards and Cabernets, delicious wines. But you had mentioned earlier that they like to experiment with different stuff, and I guess they found a blend that they felt confident putting out in the market, which is always nice. All those different grapes add different elements, which leads to a more fun, more layered, more complex wine in a lot lot of times.
It adds a lot of depth, and when you taste it, like we were mentioning before too, I got the chance to go to Wenti probably about 5 years ago now. When I was there, their tasting room is also their development center, so they taste, the wines to their customers that are there on site, and they have 100% Tempranillos that are grown in California, and they have all these other different styles that they like to make to experiment with. So when they come up with a blend that they really like, that's what they're going to go with too, because they can tell that it's going to be, friendly to all the consumers that like to try it. And this one's really interesting. What do you think so far?
I get some of that nice, rich fruit on the nose, like you'd expect from a California wine. Very kind of almost jammy, but not really on the nose. Up front on the palate, I get a nice blast of fruit and a little bit of spice as well. I think the first time I tried it, I actually thought there was some Syrah in it because of that spice. But really good fruit, good spice, a little bit of just that baking spice kind of thing. It's very interesting. Plum, cherry.
I get a lot of that, and even on the finish too. You get more of that kind of spice and just very nice, pleasant, long finish. It's got very mouth filling. It's not over the top, or it doesn't like really coat everything in your mouth, but it does have that finish where you go back for another sip and it just refreshes you.
Let's talk a little bit about this certified sustainable wine as well, which is what Wenti, what is on this bottle.
Absolutely.
Certified sustainable.
When a winery goes to market and they say they're SIP sustainable or certified sustainable in any way, usually what that means is that they have gone through a lot of rigorous, the winery in the background, they are doing everything they can to reduce emissions, and whether that's making sure that it's pretty green, along the terms of how they farm and how they produce the wine. They are not letting in any kind of external pollutants, chemicals, any of that kind of thing. So
they tend to try to keep water usage to the minimum as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
be friendly to wildlife and things like that, which is kind of more and more people are looking for organic wine. We hear people asking for it all the time.
Right.
The organic certification process is pretty complex with soil testing and expense for these small wineries. They don't often go through organic. Sometimes they take it a step further and go sustainable. Sometimes you'll find them right on the labels. Sometimes we have to trust the sales reps and the people from the wineries, and because they don't go through that full labeling process. But with Wenti, they do put it right on the label, certified sustainable.
It's true.
So that's a fun little thing to look for in your wines as well when you're shopping. And now we're going to go back to Europe with a Spanish wine.
Finish up in Spain with the Coto de Amaz. This is made by El Coto, and this is coming out of Crianza. So this is their Reserva, which means that it was aged for 18 months in oak, and then it was rested for another year in the bottle beforehand when they released it too. So we're in 2018 right now. This is 100% Tempranillo, so you get a lot of those kind of really nice kind of spicy notes from the aging process, but you also get some of the fresh fruit. So we're going to kind of delve into this and see what we think.
Yeah, and so that's the Rioja goes Rioja, then Crianza, and then Reserva. So Reserva will be that longer age oak, a lot more time in oak. And that Tempranillo grape, which you just mentioned, is one of those grapes in the Wenti, which is what brought that spice to the Wenti.
It's very interesting too, because you don't see a lot of American winemakers using Tempranillo in their blends, because it has to be pretty hot as far as the climate goes in order to grow that. So it's cool in California to see that they are growing Tempranillo and actually using it in their blends too, incorporating everything.
So on this Coto, I get a lot of fruit on the nose, but I smell like some menthol or eucalyptus type.
Big time. I get that a lot too, and it's interesting to me because they always say like Australian wine, sometimes you get that menthol, but like there is some when you get Tempranillo and you age it for a little while too.
I think that's probably more psychological with.
It's true. Yeah.
But it comes through on the palate as well. You get that nice big blast of fruit, which for as long as it's spent in oak, that fruit is still really strong, really prevalent. A lot of times the oak aging will mellow out the fruit, bring that fruit tones down, whereas this still has that very vibrant fruit to it.
It's true. You get all those kind of like, the spice box almost, like when you're thinking about like, when you smell a fresh cigar box or, your Christmas spices, it had almost everything kind of like combined into one with the fruits, which makes it for, you go for the first sip, you taste something, come back for the second sip, it might have opened up a little bit and you taste more, and then on and on, it kind of evolves over time too, and that's what you really want when you're going back for a few different sips. You really taste the wine evolving, which is really sweet too.
100%. It's every sip I took makes it a little bit different, and throughout that sip, as it's just lingering on my tongue right now, it keeps evolving. I keep tasting it, which is usually a good indication of a good wine, is the longer that flavor lingers with you and keeps changing on your palate even after you've taken a sip. The quality is far superior to one that you take a sip and it just dissipates right away.
Right.
So that's a really nice wine from Spain. Thanks for bringing that.
Of course. Glad we got to try it together today.
Yeah. Well, that is our lineup for today. I really appreciate you sticking through the video and watching the whole thing. If you have a minute, hit the subscribe button. I think the cool kids are saying something different, but I'll just go with please subscribe and give us a follow, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and I'll bring Nick back again some other time in the future. I really appreciate your time. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.